Oh, hello, and welcome to the Director's Chair. I'm Kirby, and today we're going to be talking about interpretation of the Playscript. Now, for this episode, I will be referencing the Notes on Directing by Frank Hauser and Russell Reich, and so there's several questions in here that they say directors should address about their Playscript before going about making any important decisions. What is the first impression the actors and the design should make on the audience? For The Return, I believe that it should give a feeling of the grit of urban Australia and the clash between the classes, perhaps, and law and order versus like the chaotic side of things. So I think it should make us a little bit uncomfortable when we watch this play. Not just a little bit, but a lot of bit in some points. Because there's some intense scenes, and I think the audience should feel that intensity. It shouldn't just be watching something being like, okay, well, I'm separated from this. I don't want the audience to be separated from this. I want them to feel it. So, like with production roles, such as set. I think the set, not my role, but the set should be gritty. It should make us a bit uncomfortable. You know, graffiti, dirt stains. And this impression of grit and disgust, it should reflect. It should be reflected through the delivery of the lines. For example, let's find. Cause here's a line. Come and have a drink with me and Trev, Lisa. I'm upset as well. We've all been used here. He nuzzles his face into her neck. He recoils. Jesus, you smell good. You smell like heaven. Can't remember the last time I smelled heaven. So, in a different circumstance, that line could almost be romantic. Jesus, you smell good. You smell like heaven. Can't remember the last time I smelled heaven. But this is disgusting. This is a man that Lisa doesn't want to be nuzzling her. So, the delivery should be more, Jesus, you smell good. You smell like heaven. I remember the last time I smelled heaven. Doesn't that make you uncomfortable? That's what I want the audience to feel. I suppose the way I can tell the actors, what I can tell the actors is, you know, imagine you're, I could give them a few different prompts. So, you're a dirty old man and you're saying this. You're a sex offender. You're a tradie on a construction site. All sorts of different interpretations to look at how what draws the most disgust from the audience through the actor's interpretation, and that should be prevalent throughout the production roles as well. So sounds like we don't want to feel comfortable. There's no, like, the ambient music, for example, shouldn't be like nice. I don't want to feel nice. I want to feel dirty. Wish I didn't say that. Alright. What should their final impression be as the play ends? Well, I think they should, especially for characters such as Steve and Trev, I think they should come out of it with a completely different view as to the first few scenes. So, initially, Steve and Trev are these, they're a bit gross, they're these real Aussie blokes, they're obviously criminals, not sorts that we'd like to associate ourselves with. But by the end, you know, we kind of sympathise with Steve. He's this man who, you know, his boyfriend is a bit mad, and he was trying to hide that from the family. He also killed someone, so, you know, he's not the best of guys. But he's almost redeemable in some ways. And I want the audience to come out of it feeling, wow, that's not what I thought would happen. So I want their expectations to be subverted, you know? And I think that can really come out through delivery, etc., and the way the actors interact with each other. At the start, Lisa with Steve and Trev is a bit, you know, she's uncomfortable, obviously. She's acting, she's there to set them up, but she still doesn't want to be there, I don't think. And at the end, well, she's even more uncomfortable. She also understands more where Steve is coming from, I think. Her disgust is not necessarily focused on Steve and Trev, but on her husband, the writer. Because, you know, he's used her as bait for him to get revenge on this man who killed his brother. And she's not okay with that. So, initially, the writer will be... the writer, who is Lisa's husband, obviously, she will, obviously hiding it, but she will have affection for this man. He's protective of her, she's protective of him, but then by the end, you know, she leaves him. And I think, again, that feeling of disgust should be shown through Lisa towards the writer. How do you propose getting from A to B? Well, this polar shift can't really happen just on a dime, you know? We can't have Lisa being like, ooh, Steve, disgusting. Steve, you poor man, I'm so sorry! I don't want that. I want a gradual shift, but a noticeable one at that. I don't want the audience to not see what's happening. So I think through the course of the lines and the play, it should slowly reveal itself. Here's the scene where Lisa attempts to seduce Steve to stop the writer and Steve from hurting each other. And he pulls a gun. He says, "Come away from him, Lisa." Lisa says, "Simon, come over here." She does. She says, "I was just trying to stop him from..." I know. So this is Lisa obviously being protective of the writer. And, you know, now she's a bit scared. He's pulled a gun on this man. She didn't know he had a gun. It's Australia. We don't have guns here. Steve says, "Well, you've officially just become the most dangerous person on this train." I mean, feet, Simon, is it? This is a shift in power. Steve is no longer the most powerful person on the train, as he states. It's the writer now. Steve should notice this, obviously. He states it. And I think him having the power, he's over Lisa. I'm Steve. And then he turns around and the writer has the gun, and I think he should shrink a little bit. And that's what I'll tell the actors. And slowly, the power goes from Steve to Simon. And then, eventually it goes back to Steve. Simon is interrogating him, he's like, "Why'd you kill my brother?" And then he finds out they were gay for each other. Steve has the revelation that Simon is writing a play about all these events. And Steve's not happy about this. Writer says, "Writing about you was the only way for me to take control of the situation." Steve says, "What you're saying is you don't have the guts to kill me." Writer says, "I don't know about that." Steve says, "So you're right about me?" Writer says, "Yes." Steve says, "What'll that do?" Writer says, "Damn you to hell forever." So what happens at the end of the play? I don't know yet. What would you like to happen? You die. How? Steve is here controlling the conversation. He's controlling the flow of where it goes. He's asking the questions. He's prompting the writer. The writer's meant to be in power. He's got the gun. He's going to kill Steve. But no, Steve has the power here. He's directing where this goes. And I think this is where Steve gets the power back. To the point where, at the end, he has this monologue. He goes, "I was with your brother for a whole year. But see, I don't care who I'm with. So when I told him to go away, because I was seeing Tanya, he went crazy with a knife. And she saw it outside the nightclub, so he turned on her. He wanted to kill us both. So I stopped him. Sweet little messed up brother. This is Steve's revelation to the writer that Steve wasn't necessarily the one in the wrong. Yeah, he killed him. Dominic came at Steve first. And this is something the writer didn't anticipate. It was, your sweet little messed up brother. And this is where Steve takes full control of the situation. The writer has nothing here. He doesn't even respond. You have his voiceover. Under the same moon, we all staggered in opposite directions. I was wrong. I didn't know this place. Whereas, at the start, the writer is saying, the voiceover of the writer is saying, I know this place. This is the place I was born in. The place I grew up in. The place with 100 sun-drenched horizons to run into. This is the writer. The writer's position has changed drastically. He's gone not from A to B, but from A to Z. He didn't know he was going there. He thought he was going to B. He got off at the wrong stop, really. In fact, he was on the wrong train. So, I think this gradual shift will reveal itself naturally, and I'll work with the actors and develop how we can do that. Thank you for watching this episode of The Director's Chair. Baby out.